We have been tracking stablecoins for quite some time, and that's because stablecoins just got the big green light. We have been building up to this point where stablecoins now become a legitimate class of currency. And what I mean by that is we now have government approval of stablecoins, which means stablecoins are now going to be integrated within the US financial system. And RLUSD is a very special currency, not just simply because it's tied back to the XRP ledger, but because of a few factors. Obviously, when it comes to RLUSD, it is probably at the top of the food chain when it comes to compliant and regulated stablecoins. And yes, that even does include USDC. We're going to go over a lot when it comes to RLUSD, but first I actually want to start off by just talking about the growth of RLUSD. The market cap or the total value of RLUSD is actually up over 20, almost 5% in the last 30 days. We're sitting at about almost $520 million. Holders and monthly transfer volume, as well as monthly active addresses, just continues to grow, which is very exciting to watch. Now, the big thing here is that, yes, we do see most of the XRP ledger, RLUSD, only about 12.73% of the market share. Most of RLUSD is actually on Ethereum, which, yeah, you might look at as a negative thing, but hear me out. I do think that with the EVM sidechain, and I do think that as we start to see RLUSD really become a big adopted stablecoin, I think that we're going to see a lot of that momentum and a lot of that dominant shift from Ethereum to other layer ones. And I do think that XRP during that time is going to see a large portion of RLUSD. Now, as you do think about this, with RLUSD growing the way that it has, let's go and take a quick look at stablecoins. Now, I know for a fact that RWA.XYZ is actually behind on a lot of stablecoin initiatives. For an example, RLUSD, there's actually 527.74 million out there compared to like the almost 520 million that RWA.XYZ is tracking. And also, when we think about this, stablecoins themselves, well, they just continue to surge. We're actually over 260, almost 5 billion in terms of the market cap for stablecoins, and this just continues to go up and up and up. And of course, I think that now is probably a good time to track almost all stablecoins because even USDC has been growing steadily over the last couple weeks. If we actually take a quick look at USDC real quick, I just want to show you guys how much growth there is for all of these stablecoins. I mean, monthly transfer volume across the board for, most of these stablecoins, even USDT, we still have to factor in Tether. It's been very exciting to watch these stablecoins continue to surge in growth and usage. This is a very good, indicator of what's yet to come. But RLUSD, if we actually look at this list over here, the top 10, RLUSD is almost getting into the top 10 now because we are at almost 530 million. The number 10 spot is 585.9 million compared to, if we go back over here to the stablecoin list, the top 10 on the stablecoin list over here, well, we are at 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Well, RLUSD is already in the 10th spot. It's actually in the 9th spot right now in terms of stablecoins, which is very exciting to see. And this is almost now in the 9th spot, and PayPal USD is at 865 million. We could close that gap towards the end of this year. I would love to see RLUSD really kind of grow to become that top 5 stablecoin, just like Brad has said, and also Reese Merrick, but we'll have to watch, wait, and see. But we can see the list here for stablecoins, including even RLUSD, and how much growth there has been. I mean, it's just an exciting time for stablecoins to really, open up and become a big piece of the global financial system. And that's exactly what we got. Now, like I said, RLUSD is at the top of the food chain. We continue to see more and more RLUSD being minted. We have July 8th, 16 million. July 11th, 16.5 million. Then over here, 10 million as well. We love to see more and more RLUSD minted. And a lot of people say, well, it's on Ethereum, so it doesn't matter. But like I said, I do believe that that will be bridged over as time goes on. Over here, we do have a big update, though, from Ripple saying, built for enterprise use cases, RLUSD delivers the security, compliance, and scale global businesses demand. We appreciate Blue Chip Org's A rating and recognition of RLUSD as the market's most trusted stablecoin. And yeah, this is a big one because we have Blue Chip Org saying the highest rated stablecoin on Blue Chip has never changed. But today, RLUSD becomes the new #1 ranked stablecoin. Blue Chip is beginning coverage for RLUSD by Ripple with an initial rating of A. This reflects our view that RLUSD is one of the safest stablecoins available. And here we actually have the rating in terms of stability, management, governance. We have RLUSD by Ripple is backed by US Treasury bills, government money market funds, and bank deposits. These assets present some of the lowest credit and duration risk. RLUSD is regulated by the New York Department of Financial Services. This subjects Ripple to some of the most stringent guidelines and monitoring requirements. And then also over here, we have RLUSD by Ripple. The reserves are held by the Bank of New York Mellon, which is the largest custodian of financial securities in the world and classified as a systemically important financial institution. RLUSD reserves are held in segregated accounts for the benefit of token holders. These assets will likely remain protected from any potential bankruptcy of the issuer. Institutional users can mint and redeem RLUSD directly with the issuer. Retail users can gain access to secondary markets via centralized or decentralized exchanges. But yeah, this is a very big A+ rating. And what's crazy about this is exactly why this is why I keep telling guys, Ripple is in a completely different class. Okay, RLUSD is probably the best stablecoin in this market right now. And yes, I'm even putting it over Circle. I'm putting it over everything. The fact that BNY Mellon is a custodian for RLUSD and we continue to see more moves being made around RLUSD, it shows us how committed they are to making sure that RLUSD is the top 5 largest stablecoin, but also they want to make sure that it is one of the most successful stablecoins as well. The fact that a name like BNY is a custodian, the primary reserve custodian of RLUSD, should tell you exactly what level RLUSD is operating on. But also on top of that, we just saw a big update from the White House. That's right, Genius Act is now signed into law. Trump did say the second that he gets it on his desk, he is going to be signing it. And, well, he wasn't lying. The Genius Act creates a clear and simple regulatory framework to establish and unleash the immense promise of dollar-backed stablecoins. This could be perhaps the greatest revolution in financial technology since the birth of the internet itself. And we also have the video over here, officially signs Crypto Genius Act into law. Check it out.
Hello, fellas. You got it? This is not an auto pen, by the way, which is a big scandal. If that were a Republican, it would really be a big scandal. But it is one of the great scandals of our time. Thank you very much, everybody.
So there we have the official signing of the Genius Act into law. And this is a very, very big time, like I said, to be focused on stablecoins. Now, Brad Garlinghouse also mentioned that the last major financial regulation bill was passed 15 years ago in response to the 2008 financial crisis. Tomorrow, the signing of the Genius Act cements the US's future in being a leader in truly innovative financial technology, stablecoins. This moment is a historic one, and I, for one, am looking forward to all that is to come as a result of this transformational legislation. And yeah, same day that we get this signed into law, Stuart Alderoty, the chief legal officer at Ripple, was at the White House for the signing ceremony of the Genius Act into law. As promised, this is the most crypto-forward administration we've ever seen. And yeah, it's very interesting because it kind of reminds me back to when RLUSD was announced. It was announced pretty much like a week before we saw Ripple meeting with the US Secretary of the Treasury, talking about implementing stablecoins and tokenization and CBDCs within the US financial system. Obviously, CBDCs are, the term CBDC is banned, but of course, stablecoins are accepted, which it's kind of the same exact thing I've talked about on multiple occasions. But this is the coincidences are just crazy. And I don't believe in coincidences. I told you guys many times over. I strongly believe that, considering the fact that RLUSD is now, rated A plus from, a very prominent name like Blue Chip, which means that it's the number one ranked stablecoin in terms of safety. We see all of the strength behind RLUSD. We see all of the positive moves that they've been making. We see the fact that BNY, one of the largest players out there, is the primary reserve custodian of Ripple's RLUSD. We also know that Ripple has, they applied to become a bank as well, which would also allow the Federal Reserve to actually hold RLUSD in reserves. I think at this point, with all these moves being made, on top of the Genius Act being signed into law, I strongly believe that there's a very high possible chance, and when I say this, I mean the probability of this actually happening is probably in the high 70% plus range. I strongly believe that RLUSD is going to be integrated within the US financial system. I think a lot of these USD stablecoins are actually going to be implemented into the US financial systems. I actually think that if we go back to the stablecoin list, the only two stablecoins that I foresee, being implemented into the US financial system outside of like World Liberty Financial USD, because that's like Trump's own stablecoin, RLUSD and USDC, in my opinion, are pretty much guaranteed stablecoins to be integrated within the US system. I just don't see how they're not. But what's crazy about all of this, right, is that we continue to hear more and more discussions on how stablecoins are going to cement the dollar's global dominance. They are going to weaponize stablecoins. We are going to provide regulatory and legislative clarity for the use of stablecoins for modernizing the payment system. This is going to further cement the dollar as the world's reserve currency, making it easier for trade domestically and internationally through blockchain technology. If we don't provide this clarity, the innovation will take place abroad. And the last thing we want is China setting international standards. This is crazy. Check this out.
It's a great day for the American people because we are going to provide regulatory and legislative clarity to the use of stablecoins for modernizing the payment system. As we identify new ways to use technology, we can more quickly, more cheaply, and more securely facilitate payment around the world. And so what this is going to do is it's going to even further cement the dollar as the world's reserve currency, because by making it easier for people trading internationally, for imports and exports, for trade even domestically to take place through electronic means, through blockchain technology, by providing this legislative clarity for those participating in this space, they know the rules of the road, they know how to operate, and it'll bring faith to the American people on how to negotiate, how to make payments, how to utilize these new systems. Let me also make one other point about this. This innovation has been going on, and if we do not provide this kind of clarity, then what's going to happen is the innovation is going to take place abroad. And the last thing that the American people want to see, or the people who have values of the West, the last thing they want to see is the Chinese taking the lead on international standard setting. And so by providing clear rules of the road, that then facilitates us working with partners around the world to have the U.S. system of stablecoins be the dominant means by which we engage in electronic commerce.
And yeah, I mean, this is one of the best times to be focused on these utility projects as well, like XRP, for example, because these networks are going to be the enablers of all of this. So when we really think about RLUSD being integrated within the US financial system, because it's going to be USD-backed stablecoins, RLUSD and USDC, in my opinion, are at the top of the list, like I said. That means that the underlying networks here, like the XRP ledger, for an example, are also going to be included in this. And of course, XRP, being that neutral bridge currency between stablecoins, which I believe is still a very strong use case for XRP even today, with more and more stablecoins being launched by even banks and globally. I think all of this is really kind of confirming our thought process for years, which is the fact that Ripple is becoming a part of the new financial system. They are an enabler of the new financial system. And a lot of people at one point in time believed that Ripple and even XRP were the new financial system. I think that they're a big piece of it. And I think that we're now witnessing the beginning stages of the green light for all of this, and it's through legislation. So this is a huge day for crypto. It's a huge day for confirmation of exactly what we have been talking about for years. And this is only going to allow RLUSD, Ripple, and even XRP to grow more and more. And I'm very happy about the future. So with that being said, I hope that you guys enjoyed this video. If you guys definitely leave a like, subscribe, set notifications on because more free content. You guys are more than welcome to follow me on Twitter and join the free Discord on the description below. And with that being said, guys, it's been Nick. Thanks for watching. Peace out.